So I've been spending a lot of time recently, and despite the fact that before I got my own apartment and started living alone and started seeking out my own company on purpose, and this shift happened a few months ago, despite the fact that I was afraid that I would fall into a lonely, depressive, empty void that I'd never recover from, I'm noticing it's fast becoming the most enriching phase of my entire life so far. And I say that without exaggeration. I've been through a lot, and I'm at a place right now where things are falling into place. And how I did that is what I'm going to talk about now. How I managed to do that. Because if you're finding, I mean, I know right now this video is a reflection video where I'm just sort of riffing, but if you find sometimes that you're lonely, or you find you can't connect with people, or you find that you're like me in a sense that sometimes you feel like you're talking to people but through 3-inch thick glass where you're not quite on the other side, there's a distance. That's loneliness. And if you've ever experienced that, or you are experiencing that, or you will experience that, well, you will experience it again in the future, as will I, then this video might help. So I've always been afraid, as I said a moment ago, that I would fall into a pit of despair that I'd never recover from. And part of this has something to do with the fact that I've had recurring dreams of being attacked by zombies since I was about 12 for some reason, and psychoanalytically I'm not entirely sure why this is, but I think there's some connection here, that I've been afraid of zombies. It's not a phobia in my waking consciousness, but it's a dream I have of me being chased by zombies, and they're clawing at a door, and I'm just trying to barricade the door, or I'm narrowly escaping, or whatever it is. I'm trying to escape these zombies, and it's always a thing that it's always coming up. And psychoanalytically, I can look at the zombies and think, right, there's something that the zombies embody that I'm afraid of. It's despair, it's emptiness, it's kind of being human but not really, being puppeted around, like acting like a human but losing his essential humanity. And I think in some ways that points to a part of the fear I have of going sort of hollow. So for that reason I was afraid to be alone. For that reason I was afraid to get my own apartment, and I was scared, man. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. It was a big jump. And I know it's a very first world problem in the sense that, oh yeah, you get to live in your own apartment and you're afraid. What kind of problem is that? Like, I get that. But at the same time, that's what my mind was still saying that. It was still coming up with its fears. Now, being alone for longer and for a concentrated period of time has allowed me to look at, it's basically allowed me to trim down the distractions in my environment, socially or otherwise, and allowed me to see more clearly what my mind is up to. And for that reason, I've been able to reflect on a few things, and I've been able to gain a few insights, one of which is how we become lonely in the first place. And rather than being just alone in a kind of enriching solitude, we feel a kind of craving and longing loneliness that's quite corrosive and toxic. And how we do that is entirely in what our mind is saying about the situation. It's entirely what's going on. And for me, one thing I've noticed that was causing my loneliness was the fact that my mind can be quite judgmental. I'm starting to notice it a lot more now, more recently, but my mind can make its judgments on people based on how they should live and ways in which they are not living, and a whole host of other different judgments my mind tends to make on people. And the degree to which I can distance myself from these judgments is the degree to which I can be happy and feel connected. But the more I identify with all these judgments and actually take them to be true, the more I feel distanced and separate and disconnected from people. So if you're lonely, if you're experiencing corrosive loneliness, then I would advise that you pay attention to what your mind actually says about people. Because loneliness is like a disconnection, isn't it? You see people in the street and you don't feel a part of it. You don't feel like you're one of them. You don't feel like and in its extreme form, loneliness can feel like you're not a member of a human race. It can feel like you're experiencing the world, but through behind glass. And I think that glass is reinforced by the judgments that we make upon people. It's the judgments that we make about the world. And it separates us in concept from the world. The more we judge people and things and nature and the universe, the more we feel disconnected from it. So I've been watching that. I've been watching for the judgments, and sometimes I'll see someone in the shop and I'll make a judgment based on either the way, how angry they look or whatever else. I'll make a judgment based on them. And now what I've been practicing is the judgment will come up, I'll notice it, and I will find a counter judgment, not a counter judgment, a counter phrase or something to say in opposition to that judgment. So I'll give you an example. Seeing someone, when I'm driving, I let someone go, someone drives past me, they don't notice me, they don't pay attention, and my mind can go, bastard, or my mind can say, fuck you, or something. My mind just comes up with that, like, how rude. But the other day this happened, and I noticed, and I was like, well, that person may not have seen, that person might have been thinking about something quite intense. And not only that, there are times when I do that too. And I only realise after the fact. Don't get me wrong, it may have been the case that they were just rude, right? Don't let people off the hook just because you can come up with a reason for them or excuse their behaviour. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that my immediate snap judgment of that person, which creates a distance from me and that person, rather than a connection, it's not based on the full picture. I just don't know. I don't know what that person's headspace was. And just that not knowing is the antidote to judgment. Because when you judge something, you say, I know this, that's definitely true. But we don't know. I don't know what that person's day was like. They could have been having a shit day. I've had plenty of shit days. So, yeah. So, enjoying your own company means to not be lonely, and not being lonely means to feel connected to the world. And being connected to the world means you sense a kind of inner kinship with your experience. With you experience reality as it is, and you feel like you are it. You feel like you're a part of it. You're a part of the dance, and it feels quite playful. And in this sense, being alone and solitude feels enriching and enlivening, and it doesn't have a kind of a kind of negative association with it. So here's another little curveball for you. Might get me a few unsubscribes, but I don't really care. The other weekend I took psychedelic mushrooms. I wanted to explore some things, and I did that and more. It was delightful. I might make another video on that another time. But one thing I did notice in the trip itself was that I was with a friend, and occasionally my friend would leave the room and I would feel playful. I'd be like, whoa, okay, cool, sweet, let's explore things. I'm a child. There's a plant over there, a giant plant. I was going to pull it over for some reason, but I can't. And I was just talking to the plant, communicating with it. But the point is, I felt amazing when I was alone, right? I felt like playful, fully myself. And when my friend came back, occasionally, not always, when my friend came back, I would go into this, I feel like I've got to perform, or I feel like I can't do certain things. So the psychedelic trip showed me that at the moment in my life, I value being alone, and I'm getting the most out of being alone. And this is really important, and this is really cool, because at one point in my life I wanted to be alone only because I thought it would make me cool in the eyes of other people. Make me a bit of a loner, a bit of someone on the fringe, someone on the edge, someone sort of not abiding by other people's rule sets and stuff like that. But this was not a good motivation for wanting to be alone. This was a kind of egoic neediness or a need for approval disguising itself as something else. But anyway, back to the topic of enjoying my own company. I think I summed it up already. And there's one thing about enjoying your own company that I'm not entirely sure about yet. And that's the different people's needs. You know how they say you've got introverts and you've got extroverts. I'm not entirely sure where I sit with all that in terms of solitude. I don't quite know. I haven't quite worked that one out. But I do think that alone time, calm time, being alone with yourself and having a positive relationship with who that person is when you are alone is healthy for everybody, introverts and extroverts. Now, what will differ is the degree to which a person needs other people's company to feel energized. And it just seems that at this point in my life, I don't need a lot of company to feel energized. And the last thing I'm going to mention is that the ramifications of this are far-reaching because they improve my relationships. This is a paradoxical thing. It's quite ironic, really, how the greater relationship I have with myself when I'm alone, the more I like people, the more I want to be around people, and I want to ask them about their lives, and I actually truly give a shit about them. And the reason for this is, when you're around people and you are just carrying this heavy burden of shame and guilt or like a neediness and a desire for approval, you're with another person, there's you, another person over there, but you're seeing them through the filter of, how can this person make me feel better about what's over here? Because what's over here I don't like. I feel pain when I sit in this place, so I need other people to make this place feel better. Right? So what you actually do is you turn up in a social situation, either in a relationship or with a friend or whatever else, or with a family member, and you're sort of subtly, energetically taking from them something that you need, that you fundamentally lack within yourself, and that is approval for yourself and acceptance. So when you spend more time alone, when you start enjoying your own company, it frees you up because you're not using other people to fulfill a need. You're just with them, you're celebrating them, you're enjoying them, you're asking them things about their life, you're curious about them. You are enriching their lives at no cost to you because you're fundamentally whole. So being alone, enjoying your own company, if it's healthy, because you can be a hermit and you can shut yourself off from the world and it can be a very lonely place and it can be very dark. But if you're being alone, you are more able to give to people just by being who you are. You're more able to give to people, you're more able to bring value to people's lives that's not finite, a kind of value that doesn't run out, it doesn't run dry. But you need to connect with that source of that value, that energy within yourself first, and then it will just happen naturally. It pains me when I'm around people and I'm so stuck in my head that I can't truly show up. It's as if I'm experiencing myself, I'm stuck in this mind, I'm stuck in my thoughts, my attention is taken up almost entirely by thinking. It's usually some sort of fear or anxiety that I'm fixating on. And it pains me because I'm in my element when I can be there for people and value people and love people. I love people so much. Just my own window to them gets smeared by the oil of self-doubt and self-hatred and loathing occasionally. So being alone, enjoying your own company, can really help you enjoy other people's company too. And it will help you really add value to people's lives. And not that you should define yourself by that metric alone, but when you add value, the connection that you seek with other people, and it just flows naturally. So to cut that not to cut it short because it's been a long video anyway, but to bring this to a close, I'm just going to say that healing loneliness and enjoying your own company, to really get to that space, you actually need to spend more time alone consciously. And it might be hell for a while, because when you spend more time alone, all the stuff that you might have been repressing or running away from or distracting yourself from, that stuff you can't run from anymore. It's there, whether you like it or not. And you might need help to navigate through that. It's kind of why this channel exists, right? It's kind of why what I want to do with people. Is help them navigate that shit. You might need help in that sense. You might need to go to therapy. You might need to meditate. You might need to write in a diary. You might need to do some real inner work to reach a place within yourself that's whole and a place that's accepting of yourself, especially if you're quite self-critical. But the only way to really get to that place is deeper into it, okay? And I'm learning this through my own life, and I've learnt this now. And that's the message I wanted to share with you today. Thank you for watching. Just an update. Just a few updates really quickly. If you made it to the end of the video, I might as well give you these updates. One is that I'm going to be making weekly, on every Saturday, a content-based video. 3 ways to do this, 5 ways to do that. Something that's short, something that's short, snappy, and more heavily edited to sort of give you guys value in a shorter space of time that's quite rapid. And I'm going to be making these kind of videos that are longer and a little more reflective and a little more real. Because while I need to play the YouTube game to grow my channel, which is my intention, I want to make an income online, that's my plan. I don't want to lose the original, the real authenticity and the vulnerability of this channel that makes it so special. I don't want to do that. One of the things I can't help but detest about really big channels is how they become so clickbaity and so false. And the person talking through the camera, there's none of them in the video. They're just this, hey everybody, how's it going? Subscribe, like to my channel. Like, it's like, who the hell is this person? I don't know who this person is. I don't know who the hell I'm talking to. And it's not a healthy space to be, and I don't want that for the world, and I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. So I'm going to make 2 types of videos. I'm going to be playing around with both of them and seeing which kind of video gets more traction. And it might be the case that in the future I just switch to making these kind of videos all the time. But at the most I'm going to be making both. I'm never going to switch to making just pure content videos. Because I also, for my own mental health and my own mental well-being, feel the desire to express myself and to connect with you fully. These kind of videos that I'm making right now, they're not going to get a longer watch time. That most people aren't going to watch the whole video. But those that do, I feel like I can really connect with them, and that's you. I can connect with you. If you've watched the video to this point, then it's likely that we have a connection, and it's likely that we're going to speak at some point, and it's likely that you see something in this video and you see something in me that can really add value to your life, and you're the kind of people I'm looking to connect with. So I don't mind. That's that. And yeah, if you like the video and if you like the channel, then if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Consider it. It's not a definite. Do what you want. And click that bell notification so you get all the videos, you don't miss anything. And yeah, what else? I'm on Patreon. If you want to chuck me a few dollars a month just for some support on Patreon, that would also be massively appreciated. And yeah, I've got a couple of things in the pipeline as well. Group coaching, maybe like a group, a monthly or weekly group video call where I speak to you guys as a group online. That's something I want to do. And I'll be one-to-one coaching online as well. So keep an eye out for that too. Yeah. All right. I'm going to leave it there today, guys. Thank you again. Be yourself. Be who you are. You don't know how much better life could get when you be who you are without fear. All right. Take care. Bye.